see, when I think about a car, there's a number of things that come to mind. Some people want it just for speed. Some people it's sound. For me, I want the whole package. I want something that takes me from A to B while loving every second of it. And that's how I ended up with the M2 Competition.
Alright, and here it is. Boom. Alright, so I sold all of my cars. I had an E36 M3, a Supra, a Mark V Supra, and an E92 M3. Sitting in this M2 Competition and driving it, I just can't explain it. I'm sure you car guys know, like, there's just something about it. And I miss that feeling of just being on a drive, not caring where I'm going.
All right, enough of my sob story. Let's get back to the M2 Comp.
It's pretty cool because this is the first twin turbo car I've owned. I gotta admit, I'm really enjoying it. This one's a manual. And we're here driving through some canyon roads. Okay, let's talk about the overall experience of the M2. To me, the M2, it has a little bit of a reminder to me of the E36, just in the size. I know it's probably quite a bit heavier than the E36. It's not a direct representation with it being twin versus, you know, naturally aspirated. I do feel like the power falls off a little bit at the top. You notice at the top end of this that all of a sudden it kind of gets to that point where, like, I don't really let it rev out all the way. It feels like I'm kind of shifting at 5,500, 6,000, even though redline in this car is 75. Because I feel like that extra 2,000, it feels like it starts to peter off. Maybe it's just me. Right now I'm on stock suspension and it feels a little soft to me in the canyons, but on a day-to-day basis, I'm kind of enjoying the fact that the suspension has that give, because it's by no means a regular suspension. It's stiff. But I'm saying, like, coming from something like KW V3s on the Supra or Olin's on the E92, those handled differently in the canyons. Like, I definitely felt like those were a little more, like, I can feel right now there's a little more body roll, but I'm also having a little more give over these tough bumps. So it's kind of like pick and choose your battles. My wife gets in here, I have my son in the back, and we can still have an enjoyable ride. Now, dual clutch is also an option for this car. You know, with the newest G series, them turning it into just the ZF 8-speed, which is great. I had that in the Supra, but dual clutch and 6-speed to me are where it's at. Dual clutch provides the rawness that I want from an automatic, while 6-speed obviously gives me even more raw feeling, you know, with being able to rev match, downshift, control it as I please. I think one of the biggest things going back and forth between dual clutch and 6-speed manual with me was, what do I want with this car? Do I want to have something that is just fast? Like, do I want to be able to blast through a straightaway knowing I can just bop, 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 you know? Or do I want something to where I just want to cruise in it, I want to have fun in it on a daily basis, just driving kind of casually? And that was what I kind of came to with the 6-speed manual, is that I have more fun casually driving in a 6-speed manual than I do in a dual clutch. And that's just personal preference. I had a dual clutch in the E92 M3, loved it. It shifts so fast, I love the downshifts, but sometimes it felt like I wanted something more out of the car. When I wasn't driving the car hard, I really wanted something more, and that was just the honest truth. I would get kind of bored, and it would feel a little bit like, you know, just a regular car when I was casually driving it. Versus, you know, you're casually driving a 6-speed, you pull up to the light, you downshift, you know, and you enjoy it, right? It's just a different feeling. That's kind of what I really came down to. Now, I will say it has its drawbacks. A 6-speed manual's obviously slower. Off the line, there's no way you're matching the speed of that dual clutch. Unless you're really, you know, dumping the clutch and really running through the gears, but you know, it's really hard on the car. It's not something you're typically doing from light to light. And in a dual clutch, you can obviously run through the gears. So think about that. Like if you really enjoy driving a 6-speed manual, there's no reason to get a dual clutch. But if you're someone that is like, oh, I've never really owned a 6-speed manual, or I don't like it that much, or it's not on the top of your list, probably I would say choose a dual clutch. It just, you're gonna enjoy it more. You're gonna be able to switch it in a drive. Definitely plenty of torque. Car feels great. Interior of this car, I'm actually really enjoying. So when you compare it to something like the F80, the interior can feel a little basic, especially G80, or you know, just the whole G series. That interior really changed things. It's very tech focused with the big screens. Versus this interior feels a little more driver friendly. I still feel like it, you know, being a 2020, it's, you know, 3 years old now. Very driver focused in here. There's not a lot going on. It's simple, clean. I think the one complaint I have is that this interior only comes in black, which to me is kind of a huge oversight on, you know, BMW's part. Like, why would the M2 not come with other colored interiors when even something like the M2 35i will come with a different color interior? You can get a red. Because I would love to have a red personally in this car. I've thought about maybe M4 comp seats in here, and you know, I think that might look nice. Steering wheel I love. I actually think this steering wheel is great. It's a thicker steering wheel, but it doesn't feel overly thick that you're kind of annoyed at it. I have the M Performance shift knob, and I think that makes a huge difference. It feels pretty good. It's like Alcantara and the dry carbon to kind of match the rest of the interior. You got blue stitching throughout, then you got M stitching on the steering wheel. You can get the orange stitching as well. But yeah, interior looks good. Stereo feels great. This is the Harman Kardon stereo, and I love the sound of it. Got no complaints there. Bass kicks hard, and overall interior, really no complaints other than the options for the interior. So one of my favorite parts about the M2 and even the Supra I owned was the valved exhaust. I think it's a game changer because you get this thing where you can be chilling as you're driving and not have it be something super loud, and then basically switch and be able to be loud with Sport Plus mode. The only downside of the M2 versus something like the M3 is the M3 has a number of modes to change things individually. You only have basically engine and steering on this, so steering is your steering feel. You have Comfort, Sport, and Sport Plus. Sport Plus is a little too heavy. Sport is kind of the right thing. And then Comfort feels a little too loose for me. And then for engine modes, you have Efficiency, Sport, and Sport Plus. Efficiency is kind of your comfort in a sense, and that's gonna have almost no burbles. It sounds, honestly, kind of economy car-ish. Then you have Sport, which will have a little bit louder, but will kind of not have the pops and burbles that you have in Sport Plus. And then, like I just mentioned, Sport Plus will have those burbles, pops. It has a kind of a cool backfire noise as you let off throttle, which is cool. Cool to have all those different modes, but I think it's super underrated because you could essentially put, say, equal length mid pipes on this thing and still keep the valve control of the back. Now, I really don't like what you consider these, like, where are they? Right there, those udders. Like, I don't like the look. It does look like cow udders, and I wish it was different, but stock exhaust kind of is what it is. It is super quiet right now, and that's my biggest complaint currently with the car. I think if you are someone that loves hearing your car, this is just too quiet for a stock exhaust. I have auto rev matching coded out, and that actually requires you to go into one of these and type in the advanced codes. But it's amazing because now the only way I could turn off auto rev matching before was through traction control, which is extremely annoying. Like, I want to have traction control, but also be able to turn auto rev match off, like you can on some of the G series cars. There's no drawbacks, and I can rev match as I please. One thing that you do not want is a car that you get on it like this, and you can't slow down. brakes are so good on this car, and they look great too. I don't understand why BMW did what they did. The rear calipers on this car are like beautiful brakes, and most of the time the rear calipers, even on M cars, are just the, you know, the little 2-piston brakes, whatever they are, and they don't look great.
Overall, when I get into a car, I want it to inspire me. I want to feel the car and in return be given feedback. It needs to be nimble, fun, and rewarding. It needs to fit within my life, and ultimately, it needs to put a smile on my face. And currently, the M2 is doing just that.